Tracks have a very unexpected influence on the handling characteristics of your tank, and in a much different way than you might realize. So today we're going to cover how the tracks affect your handling and how to improve your tank by getting better tracks. So right here I have a build that I have made quite a while ago by now, one of my earlier builds. They can go pretty easily up to 30, but will cruise about at 35 on perfectly flat terrain. So it is not exactly the fastest, but it definitely has a lot of engine power that I want to use to speed up the tank, and we can actually do that through the tracks. So let's remove these panels right here. So we can actually take a look a little bit at the track and how this tank specifically is set up. So this one uses torsion bar suspension. Suspension is a separate thing. I already did a video on it. Check that out if you want to see how that works. We have a total of 6 road wheels, 4 return rollers, a medium-sized sprocket wheel in the front, and a idler wheel at the back. So the first thing to optimize your track setup can be by removing the return rollers. Removing the return rollers will reduce the amount of weight used by the tank, so 28.1 to 17. So you got a weight reduction. Rollers are purely aesthetical, so they are not needed. They will be removed for optimizing your build. Next is track thickness. Track thickness determines the thickness of the track. By thinning it out, we'll reduce the weight and also improve the speed value intrinsic to the tank. Then we have the length and width values, and once again we're going to be reducing the width of the track to a minimum to make sure that we have the least amount of weight. It will look a little bit silly because the chassis was made with the much larger track in mind. We're just going to stick with this just for comparison's sake. So this will reduce your weight immensely. And it is because ground pressure is not modeled in this game. So as it stands, you can get away with these extremely thin tracks on a very big chassis without any issues. And lastly, for length, you can go back and forth. You can see all it does is go from 0.2 to 0.01. So you just basically want to just take whatever value gives you a 0.01, and it looks somewhat good for you. Again, weight reduction is an important thing here, so you kind of want to keep that in mind. So once you've done that, we can actually get to the sprocket, idler, and road wheels. So in my suspension video, transmission video, I said that the speed is entirely dependent on the sprocket's diameter here, the end speed. But thanks to some research at some of my friends at the YHI group, we found out that the road wheels are actually responsible for transferring the power to the ground and overall move the build. So it's not the diameter of the sprocket wheel that you want to increase for higher top speed, but the diameter of the road wheels. And that's something very intuitive. So yeah, you want to reduce the width of them as well, of course, to fit in with this track. And you can remove the amount per axle for the idler and for the road wheels. Then another key part of making a good build is interleaving your road wheels and maximizing the overlap if you could. Like if I wanted to increase it even further, I would, but I cannot. This is basically how to optimize the build for maximum speed. Again, more road wheels means more power distribution, and it allows you to make them larger while not sacrificing the amount of road wheels. Because more road wheels means more acceleration and means more hill climbing capabilities. So again, this one was cruising around 30 kilometers an hour, right around here. And it's already climbing to above 31, 33, 35, going up to 40. 42, 43. My gears can already not handle it. My engine is starting to burn up by the looks of it. Going 45. So already increased the speed of the tank by 50% simply by optimizing the traction a little bit. I could further optimize the speed by making a 6th gear. Again, like my L5 has reached its limit. I could further increase the speed of the tank by going in here and add another gear at around 0.9, let's say. I'm not even calculating that right now. And I'll just remove the reverse gears real quick to make, kind of try to make that work. Doesn't wanna. Okay, we'll just increase the rear a little bit. Alright, let's go and see how it drives now. Gear 5. It's going up there. Gear 6, there we go. 47. I'm still accelerating, even with the newer gear. So you might notice there's actually not a need for that much power at all for your tank to go fast, as long as it meets a minimum requirement, basically, of engine speed. And all you have to do after that is make the tracks thinner and longer and give them a very large size road wheels. You can see here we have reached a limit of around 50 kilometers an hour, going from again 35 on flat terrain. This is also flat terrain. So that's an increasement of about 20 kilometers an hour of effective speed for a tank like this. And if all it took is just 1 or 2 minutes of track changing, that is pretty good. But for the people that may not want to just optimize the shit out of their tanks, we're going to take a look a little bit more about what else you can do with these road wheels. So, of course, we have a menu in the bottom here, where we have different looks of sprockets. So, you can have two different looks of sprocket wheels. Then we have the idler wheels that is going to be in the back. You can again select one that suits your fancy. Then we have road wheels. All the mounts don't have any choices here, by the way, so that's why I'm skipping over those. Again, here you can take a different look of build, whatever you want to, like, again, suit your fancy, basically. Whatever looks better, you can put on there. Same you could do with return rotors if you had them enabled. And you can also select what track segment you want to use here for the basic track looks. Also change the track looks on the add-on armor, on the track, on the hull, or wherever you place them. And yeah, that's basically the customization here. So for the settings in here, for your sprockets, you have a forward and backward slider. We have a up and down slider, and we have a diameter slider. For either, very similar with a forward, which also actually controls the rest of the wheels because it's coming from the back always. So, actually, if the sprocket's in the back, the sprocket wheel will control the direction of where the rest of the wheels are moving. So you can keep that in mind as well. Then, again, this one has a height on the idler, you have diameter on the idler. You also have a width on it, and the amount of per axle that you want to put in there. If you want to make some really wide tracks, you can actually do that by increasing the amount of idlers and road wheels per axle. Now onto the road wheels. We can have a forward and backwards. We can have a height value, which can actually lower the suspension, but actually if you want to lower or higher that, you generally actually want to use the rest angle value right here, as the rest angle also affects the suspension instead of just the entire setup. And increasing that rest angle is actually going to increase ground clearance, while the height value would decrease ground clearance, you can see right here. Then again, we have the diameter. You kind of want to get it big, but not too big. We have also spacing on axle, which is gonna basically give you the ability to push out wheels to the outside if you want to make a wider track as well. You're gonna have again the per axle setup, which you can see there. And there's also this per group thingy. So per group is a bit special because it's actually better shown off with this. So here you can see I have a very large group spacing. I'll just decrease the diameter real quick. So you can see whatever I do, there's always going to be groups of 2 road wheels. I can also increase it to 3, let's say. So then there's going to be groups of road wheels. And this is useful if you want to create a gap in your suspension where you want to balance out the turret or whatever for. So if your turret, for example, is too rear heavy, what you could do is increase the space and the amount of per group to, let's say, like this amount right here. See what I can have a little gap in front, or maybe just decrease it even further. Let's say like this. So you have a gap, and you have a lot of weight distribution to the back because there's 5 road wheels there, and only 4 on the front, allowing you to, yeah, just balance the build overall towards the front, because the suspension is going to be able to handle it. So he's only putting 8.2 kilonewtons per piece of suspension. I have 100 to keep it up, so these little road wheels can actually perfectly handle the weight of the build. And yeah, you might notice if I go back with these tiny wheels, we're gonna have some issues with driving here. And yeah, the speed is going to be significantly reduced. You will immediately notice it. And that is again why you want to have those a little bit bigger road wheels to make sure your speed is gonna be good. Other than that, there's not too much to talk about when it comes to tracks. Um, One thing to note is that if you have the bulky suspension type, your height value is actually the one that you want to change for the height of your suspension, because they are not affected by any adjustments right here or anything like that. So yeah, those don't do anything, and they have a tendency to kind of go down quite a bit, as you can see right there. Yeah, they are significantly weaker suspension types than the torsion bars here. So if you can help it, make sure you use torsion bars, because torsion bars are just that much better right now. And yeah, with that, that is a little guide on how to do tracks and how to optimize your tracks for speed. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.